Buongiorno. Seems like it's very busy this morning with all those people coming here and trying to tell you stuff. My name is Messerschmidt, and as you can imagine, I'm German with that wonderful last name. I'm the head of developer advocacy for PayPal and Braintree in this region, so I run Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And I'm not sure, who of you guys uses PayPal already? Thank you. You pay my salary. And who knows Braintree already? Okay, a few of you, that's good, not too bad. You should better know it. Braintree is a credit card processing company that is based out of the US, and they got acquired by PayPal beginning of this year. And they basically run payments for lots of really awesome companies like Uber, Airbnb, GitHub, Slack, and so on. So this talk is titled Future of Payments, but I definitely don't want to talk about banking, nor I'm not going to talk about finance. I'm not going to talk about investments. Say hi to your mom. I'm going to talk about where we are actually heading and how people are going to pay within the next few years and how technology helps actually achieving this. So again, thanks for having me. This works like a charm. There we go. So as I said, I'm coming from Berlin, but as most people in developer advocacy, I'm actually usually living at Berlin-Tegel. So we fly around all those events, and we're incredibly busy because there are so many good developer events nowadays. So last week, I've been in Madrid at the Codemotion event over there. And I don't want to say this is a smaller room, but it is. But hi to room 2. All right, cool. So if we talk about the future of payments, we should definitely talk about what we expect from payments and what do we expect from finance or any other service that we use on a regular basis. So whenever we use services from all those awesome something as a service startups, what do we actually want from them? Well, first of all, obviously, they should be secure. They should know how to treat our data, how to treat our user information. And if we pay them, we want that the payment details don't get lost, that somebody doesn't hack them. And obviously, we expect that all this is maintained on a regular basis because we see there are a lot of services that are being hacked a lot. And then we all have to change our passwords every now and then, and it's a very unpleasant experience. So our own services have to be secure, but also obviously the services that we leverage on a regular basis. Well, then I have this wonderful picture with lots of nice colored straws. And I want to express that this is flexibility. So our company, our startups, our programs evolve constantly. We adapt to technology trends. We see new cool features that we want to touch. I think that the services that we use and that we partner up with have to be as flexible as we are. So whenever we actually want to start using something, we should be able to fit it into any kind of work that we do, be it software, be it hardware, be it anything beyond that. And then, obviously, we expect a certain type of scalability. So for payments, the example would be, we should be able to support a startup from the first dollar they earn to the first million they earn, right? And everything beyond that. We have a lot of different customers, from big airlines that work with us to really small startups that just got started. We just went to Dublin Web Summit, and we talked to a lot of startups over there to understand the requirements they have. So obviously scalability, not just on your side, but also on the side of the partners that you deal with, is something that I find is really important. So if we check out the current technology, we have a lot of different tech that defines how we pay nowadays. If you go to a regular supermarket, that would be your bank card or your credit card, right? And to be frank, that is not a very compelling experience. It is not really exciting, especially as a developer. We're used to having all this cool technology in our hands that we can leverage to build cool stuff. And then we go to a supermarket or to any brick and mortar store, and it is just frustrating. One of the core technologies that we see coming up right now is Bluetooth Low Energy. Bluetooth 4 finally fixed Bluetooth. So let me just guess, like, how many people here have Bluetooth enabled on their phones right now? Okay, that's not too bad. I promise next year it's going to be double the amount, and then the year after, the whole room should hopefully raise the hand. Bluetooth used to be very energy draining. People hated it because pretty much whenever you turned on Bluetooth, you knew that you couldn't really last longer than maybe 2 or 3 hours. There's this cool thing, beacons, that people love. Estimote is one of the companies that produces them. There are lots of other companies, obviously, that build and manufacture beacons, but those are very developer-centric. So the concept of a beacon is there is a broadcast around a tiny device, and if I come into this area, which is usually about 40 meters, I get a payload, and my phone or my other devices can interact with that payload, which is fantastic because we can start pushing messages to people. We can start interacting with people not just online, but also offline. So beacons obviously start to enable this kind of vision of connected commerce and also basically bringing anything we experience in the internet to the offline world. So if we look at lots of defining experiences, lots of really awesome startups, I already mentioned a few of them, we see companies like Uber. Who uses Uber over here? Any Uber fans? That's good. GitHub? Hey. Let's see, what else do we have? Anyone know Slack already? Slack is a really cool Slack chat tool. Awesome. So if we look at those services, you can actually see payments are not necessarily the biggest part of it, but still they have to exist because they have to finance themselves. If you look at Uber, it's actually a really interesting experience because what they do is they move the payment into the background. You don't have to have your credit card or cash or your debit card with you if you want to take an Uber. You take the app, you order a new taxi, you step into the taxi, you drive where you need to go. Sometimes it takes a bit too long. Then you get out, and eventually you get an email saying you just paid. You don't have to discuss tip with the driver. You don't have to do anything. You don't even need to know the local currency because the service takes care of all of that for you. I think that's extremely compelling. And for the user, the nice part of it is actually he doesn't have to care about the payment, right? And he doesn't have to know about it. And to be frank, paying is always a very unpleasant experience because you lose money. But moving this into the background is definitely something that I find is really great. Now, going back to the supermarket, this is really the antithesis of this. You come into a store, you have to queue up, nobody knows you, there are no nice user profiles, no recommendations. They sometimes don't accept your favorite payment method. Like I'm from Germany, so nobody over there accepts credit cards, but I get lots of miles on there. So I should be able to do that, right? We like to give users choice. And I think that's something that we all need to push for. Now coming to supermarkets, most of those point-of-sale machines they actually have in there are not connected to the internet yet. So once a day in the evening they do a sync with some kind of databases and that's it. So they don't know how often you came over there. They don't know that you bought a device in another store really close to it. And to be honest, this is really scary. And I'm not sure if we really want to have that anymore, right? So we all have our smartphones in our pockets, and we all should have the choice to go for what we like. Now, talking about this and simplifying payments, I hate passwords. I actually do have a whole talk about how much I hate them. And what we did is, as an example, in our mobile app, in our SDKs, we actually allow users to tap into the existing PayPal app. And if you look at the regular checkout form, it would look something like that. You have a PayPal button, and normally if you click on it, it would ask you to log in with email and password. But if you have the PayPal app installed, why not skip over there, check if the user is logged in, and if that's the case, ask him to agree to pay in this app, go back, and from now on, the app is authenticated. So no more typing in, no more stupid kind of inputs that is really hard to do on a mobile device. Now, the issue is obviously, we know that mobile is huge, we know that Bluetooth is awesome, and this all can help shaping experiences right now. But there is a lot of stuff that we don't know. So Christian Heilmann spoke in Madrid last week, and he actually said, we're really shit at predicting the future. So what do our users really want, and how is the landscape going to look like? So we all know that developers obviously love choice, and they always come up with new cool tools. Java used to be amazingly huge a few years ago. Nowadays, the big new thing is obviously Node.js and Go, and the next big thing is coming, which is probably Clojure or something, right? So if we look for solutions, we should be able to adapt to this stuff as well. So one thing that we noticed is people are not really loyal to the payment source. So you have probably PayPal if you want to pay credit card payments. Or now you see Apple pushing into payments, so why don't support Apple Pay? Or Bitcoin. People love Bitcoin nowadays. Anyone has Bitcoins over here? Okay, a few. Some of them might be very rich nowadays. So we don't know what's coming up, right? So we have to abstract away a lot of stuff, and that's something that we try to do in our SDKs as well. So we can support all these new cool technologies. Now, there's this thing from a marketing agency called Gartner that they call the hype cycle, which pretty much predicts technology right now and where it's heading towards to. And if we look at that, we see a few things that I find very compelling. So we have the Internet of Things over there. Oh, exciting, right? And I think the Internet of Things is definitely what we should talk about. Wearable user interfaces, wearables. Everybody starts to have fitness trackers, smartwatches, Google Glass. We're definitely coming to a phase where this is an accepted technology and not just something for the early pioneers. NFC. It's deep down in the valley of people are very sarcastic about it right now, but we're slowly getting out of there thanks to Apple Pay. Gartner also released a statement saying, in 2020, we have 26 billion IoT devices that are connected to the internet. So can we leverage this technology? Can we tap into that? We are approaching an age of hardware prototyping that is incredibly easy. We can 3D print stuff. We can use Arduino boards. We can use all these new cool other hardware boards like the Intel Galileo. So it is very easy to actually build stuff. So I actually hooked up a Spark Core device with an LCD screen, and I connected it to the internet. And suddenly, whenever a user paid myself with PayPal, I could get a tiny notification on the screen. So you can actually build your own point of sale within a few minutes, and that's very cheap to do. We are approaching a world of wearables and biometrics. Fingerprint payment, why not? People actually start using vein recognition as well, which has a really nice advantage. If you chop off an arm, there's actually no more blood flow, so no vein recognition anymore. And then we head into those awesome wristbands. Wristbands are very accepted nowadays, obviously, because we used to wear watches for years already. So why don't we tap into that and start authenticating users through the wrist, through different metrics that we can measure, like the heartbeats and the frequency of certain things. And that's where we are slowly heading. So we use all these devices. We start using the human body and our surrounding actually to enable technology and to make technology easy, accessible for everybody. So the last thing I want to talk about is really one big new standard that is coming up, which is the FIDO Alliance. And the FIDO Alliance is pushing for one big authentication standard for all this stuff. Because if you look at authentication, we see OAuth 1, OAuth 2, we see lots of different stuff like OpenID, we see passwords around there. And this is all very nice, but if we approach a world of all those tiny connected devices, some of them with user input, some of them without, we need to find a way to authenticate all those different use cases. And that's where FIDO Alliance is heading towards too. And a lot of big companies are actually part of this, like Lenovo, BlackBerry, Google, Microsoft, PayPal, eBay. So this is definitely something to look out for. Thank you.